7 months in, and President Trump is making some big moves in America. But not everybody's a fan. According to Gallup, 0% of Democrats are satisfied with how things are going in the U.S., compared to 76% of Republicans. Still, while Democrats refuse to give him any credit, one area stands out as a clear success, and that is crime. And if you want proof, just listen to the folks on the ground in D.C. talking about the surge of National Guard troops in the Capitol.
Ever since Trump put out the law, I say more safe, for more protection, police protection.
People is not out as much because they're aware, so I'm grateful for that aspect of it.
Even Democratic leaders seem to be envious of Trump's handling of crime. California Governor Gavin Newsom is rolling out new suppression teams to tackle crime in his state cities.
Crime's an issue, and we want to tackle it, and we continue to do more in that space. And we announced and highlighted some of the expansion. What is not contradictory, respectfully, is that we're doing it in partnership with our local communities. We did it in partnership with the Biden administration prior. We're not talking about the nationalization, the militarization of the Guard and militarizing United States cities.
Yeah. A tough on crime stance is just the latest way Newsom has adopted Trump's style. But Vice President J.D. Vance thinks voters can sniff out a phony.
He's not trying to be Gavin Newsom, whoever that is. He's trying to be a fake carbon copy of Donald Trump, and it just doesn't work. You can't mimic the king. You can't mimic the master. You ought to just go and be yourself, and I think that the American people would like that a lot more than a cheap imitation of the President of the United States.
Can you fathom, Greg, politically, why the heck would Democrats think that it's popular to say, let's not crack down on the crime that's
they're figuring it out.
Everybody.
You know, Trump is making the Democrats sane again. they realize if they don't do this, it's going to lose. I got to talk about that. This is an amazing thing. I've never heard of a survey where it's 0% of anything. If you ask in a survey, would you like a spike in your eyeball? 10% will say yes. I mean, that's how it works. So what is this saying? This is like to me, like, this is a huge moment to like understand what's going on in the country. That finding is not logical. It's not reasonable. It's not sane. Yet there are millions of people who disagree with you in this country. You work with them. They're in your family. And in any other situation, you consider them reasonable. And they support Trump and they're generally happy, or they don't support Trump and maybe they're not happy. But if you believe that no reasonable people can support Trump, then how does that explain the millions of reasonable people who do? There has to be something wrong with your filter. It's unreasonable and it needs to be examined. How can you reconcile your reasonable employee or coworker or uncle or aunt and his unreasonable support for Trump? It's not about Trump at all. You have to see that. This survey is telling you it is not about Trump. It's about a media that fuels your emotional state and a Democrat Party that created a terrible sin of ascribing moral virtue to political beliefs so you could categorize somebody as evil. Now, the crime stuff is great. Trump is killing it on crime. And the effect it's having on Democrats is amazing. He's actually getting Democrats to rediscover the whole point of leadership. It's not about politics or party. It's about people. Democrats put the party before the people. Survival of the party. But the party is just a necessary evil to create a structure for order. It's really about the people inside the party. What do they want? They want, cheaper food. They want cops. They want a border. So they're starting to realize that they have to deal with the people first if they want to have political survival. And they wouldn't have done it otherwise if it wasn't for the Trump effect. Trump caused the surge in law enforcement. He's making Democrats sane again. And I'll take it. I won't even credit Trump. I'll just say I want all Americans to be safe. I'm glad they're doing it.
Joey, Vance, J.D. Vance, the vice president, is accusing Newsom of being a cheap imitation of Donald Trump. Do you agree?
I don't know what he's trying to do. I mean, a lot of this is his social media team that he's put together, I guess he'll say that he's trying to mock President Trump, but I think there's something to be envied with the way President Trump has communicated, the way he succeeded. I mean, he's never been more Teflon Don than he is right now today. I mean, he beat court cases, court rulings. It seems every day something is ruling in his favor, either personally or as president. So I think if you're a politician, you would be dumb not to want to capture some of the lightning in the bottle that President Trump has. But you can't do it by trying to be him. I mean, J.D. Vance is a great example of that. I mean, J.D. Vance is different than most politicians in D.C., but he's not Donald Trump, not even in a long shot. The best example I can give is my governor, Brian Kemp, when he first started running in the primary back in, I guess it would have been 2016, he had a couple commercials where he's in a room full of guns and he's got a guy there that's going to date his daughter. And then he had another commercial where he slammed the door on his pickup and he goes, I drive a pickup truck and I'll even use it to round up illegals. And it's like it was so fake that it wasn't his personality. It didn't do well. And then finally, he just decided to be himself and he became the governor and he stayed governor. I hope every politician learns this. You can't try to be something you're not. And I think that now more than ever with President Trump, that's true.
Everybody can sniff out a phony. Jessica, CBS News looked at the D.C. crime data amid these National Guard deployments. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers. It is working. Crime is down.
Absolutely. I mean, and there were 2-week periods, though I'm sure Greg will jump in and say, but they were fake numbers. But there were 2-week periods in February and March, I think it was, where there were also no homicides. So
those were fake numbers.
But now it's real. Everything under Trump.
I did it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like it when we tag team. Anyway, when it's Trump's people, he believes the numbers. When it's not, he says that they're fake. But sure. And those interviews were, not of the white hippies out in Georgetown or whatever. They were of minority folks, perhaps registered Democrats that were happy to see it. And we see that overwhelmingly in surveys that people do want more police presence. They don't want less, but they want it to be effective. And what will be most interesting is what happens when the 30 days are up.